Hi, this is Kirk Lynch, and today we're going to spend a little bit of time working a problem that would be similar to a homework problem you have to work. We're going to do an aging of receivable schedule, and we've got to do some work around that. This is the problem we're going to be working on. Here at the top we have a partially completed schedule of assignments that is missing some stuff. The stuff that it's missing is shown here in this second table by customer name, their original due date, and the amount that they owe. We have some other information here about our uncollectible accounts and the percentage that doesn't get collected in each category. Our instructions say that we have to determine the number of days past due for these missing customers, put them in the right category, update our schedule of receivables, which is going to be done here. And I've already filled in the customer names and the amount they owe in the balance column. We have to figure out how old their accounts are. We'll do that, finish up the aging schedule, and then get an estimate for our uncollectible accounts, and then do some journal entries here at the end based on what we find out. So we're going to go ahead and age these different things. I'm going to put a note out here in this margin as to how old they are, but I'm going to use a tool that I've created here to figure out how old these accounts are. Actually, I've got that part of the tool here. So here are the same customers that are missing their original due date. We know that today is December 31st. So I'm going to use this little table here by month. We know that in June there are 30 days, and this was due originally on June 4th. So that means we have 26 days in the month of June. We've got the 31 days here in July, another 31 in August, another 30 in September, 31 in October, 30 in November, and 31 in December. So those are the total days. If I add those up, I get a total of 210 days past due. So this account is 210 days past due. If we move down here to TFC Soccer, they're not due till January 5th of next year, so they are 0 days past due. That's an easy one to calculate. This United Football, they're due on December 13th. So we're already over here in the month of December, and so this actual is going to be equal to 31 days minus 13 days, and so they are 18 days past due. We look over here, November 5th. So November had 30 days, and November 5th, so there are 25 days in November and 31 days in December that this account is past due. And if we add those two things together, we get 56 days past due. Then we look at August 28th is our next date here. And so August 28th, there are 31 days in August. That means we had 3 days in August, 30 days in September, 31 in October, 30 in November, and 31 in December. And if we add those all up together, we get 125 days past due. Then we go here to November 27th. November has 30 days. That means there are 3 days in November and 31 days in December. That's a total of 34 days. And if we look at this one, October 15th. October has 31 days, so that means we have 16 days in October, 30 in November, and 31 in December. And if we add those up, we get 77 days past due. And then finally, this last one is on September 7th. So here we are on September. There are 30 days, so we have 23 more days in September, 31 in October, 30 in November, and 31 in December. And if we add those all together, we get 115 days past due. So now we know what categories each of these customers go into. We're going to start with SCC Soccer Club. They are 210 days past due. I've already filled in the amount they owe us in my aging schedule, which is $1,950. You may have to go back and do some of this work that I've already done ahead of time to save time on this video. So my aging schedule is here. Here is the customer that I'm going to update. The total amount owed is $19.50, and they are 210 days past due, which is over 120. So I'm going to put the $19.50 in that category right there. The next one, TFC Soccer, I remember from my, they are not past due. So in the not past due category right here, we're going to put the $48.32 that is owed to us. Then we move down here to United, and if we look at our aging tool, we see that United right here was 18 days past due. So on our schedule, that's between 1 and 30. So they're going to go in this category right here. And so we're going to copy this $6,000 over here. Our next one is GGFC, and they owe us $23.55. And if we look at our tool right here, we can see that they are 56 days past due. So 56 is between 31 and 60, so they're going to go in this column right here. And so the amount that they owe us is $23.55, and that goes right there. Then we move down here to CASLFC. They owe us $9,050, and according to this, they are 125 days past due. So if we look at our aging schedule, that's over 120 days, so they're going to go in this category right here, and they are this row right here. They owe us $9,050. Then we move down here to the next row, which is MSC, and according to our aging tool, they are 34 days past due, and so the 34 days past due is 31 to 60. So right here we're going to put $71.50, and then move on to BBB Football, and they owe us $1,200. According to the aging tool, they are 77 days past due. So 77 is between 61 and 90 right here, and so we're going to put that $1,200 right here. And then finally, WWF Soccer is 3820, and they are 115 days past due. That falls into this category right here, 91 to 120, and they owe us $38.20. So that's added all of the new accounts to our aging schedule. Now what we have to do is update our totals right here. So I'm going to use Excel and build a formula here, and so this is going to be equal to sum, and then we're just going to add the old subtotals and then any new additions to that. Did that wrong. My formula equals sum, sum, open paren. We're going to add the old subtotal and all these new additions. And so our no total accounts receivable, this is the balance column, our new total accounts receivable is $140,662. We're going to do the same thing here, our old subtotal plus any additions. And I can just, because of Excel, I can just copy this formula over here, and it will add all the new additions. So back in the past not due, we had 55,000. We've added 4832. Our new not past due total is 5932. In the 1 to 30, we had 27,550. We've added 6,000 to that. We now have 33,550. In the 31 to 60, we had 9,800. We've added these two balances to that for a total of 19,305. In the 61 to 90, we had 5750. We've added 1,200 to that. There's our new total. We had 91 to 120. We had a balance of 3220, and we've added this to that for a new total of 7140. And we had, in our over 120 days, we had $2,845. And we're going to add these two amounts to that, a total of $13,845. So that's now we have updated our schedule. And now it's time to figure out what we're going to estimate as not being collectible. And we're going to have percentages in each of these boxes right here, and those percentages will be given to you in the instructions right here: 2%, 5%, 11%, 16, 14. So I'm going to start with these three, 2, 5, and 11. So I'm going to put 0.02, 0.05, and 11% of these will not get collected. And then we'll go back and look at the rest of these in the instructions, and they are 16, 40, and 75%. So this will be 0.16, 0.40, and 0.75. We can make these all look like percentages if we want to. We can just do this. And now, so we have predicted here that of the 59,832 in the not past due, there's 2% of that we will not collect. In this category of 1 to 30 days, we're going to predict 5% doesn't get collected here, 11%, 16, 40, etc., etc. So all I'm going to do to get these numbers is, again, take this original amount in that category and multiply it by this percentage right here, and I get that I'm predicting $1,196.64 will not get collected for our not past due. And then I'm going to repeat that process. I'm going to say that this is equal to the amount that's in our 1 to 30 day category times, in this case, 5%. And so we're going to predict that $1,677.50 does not get collected there. And we're going to repeat that process again. We're going to say that our 19,805 in this category times 11% will not get collected, and that is 2123. And we're going to repeat that process the rest of the way across the board. And so here's the amounts in each of those categories that we likely are not going to be able to collect. To get our total uncollectible estimate, we're just going to add these categories together. So this is going to say this is equal to sum, and then we're going to add these things. Our estimated total uncollectible for the coming accounting period is going to be $19,349.44. So that's an aging of receivables schedule. Here's how we get the number that we want the balance of our allowance for doubtful accounts to be. Okay, so we've completed 1 and 2 and 3 as the steps of this, and now 4 says that we want to assume that the allowance for doubtful accounts has a credit balance of $2,700 before our adjusting entry. So when we go over here to the journal entry and I look at this, we said it has a balance of $2,700 credit. Okay, now our goal is to make the balance of the allowance for doubtful accounts to be $19,349.44. So we want this to be $19,344 and $349.44. $349.44. Now, I think in your homework application, they're probably going to say round this to the nearest whole dollar. And if they do, that would be $19,349. And we're going to go with that assumption here. We want our balance to be $19,349. So our journal entry here, which is, by the way, is always the same. It's December 31st in this case, is the last day of our accounting period. We're going to debit bad debt expense, and we're going to credit allowance for doubtful accounts. Okay. Now the question is how much? Well, we already have a credit balance here from last year, and we want our ending balance to be $19,349. So the amount of this adjustment is going to be equal to $19,349 minus our existing balance of $2,700, or our adjusting amount will be $16,649. Oops, $16,649. And there's our adjusting entry. When we post this, Bad debt expense gets $16,649. Our allowance for doubtful accounts gets a new credit entry of $16,649. And when we add the existing $2,700 to this entry, we get a balance or an ending balance of $19,349, like we said we wanted to. So this is the let's see, in the instructions, this was step number 4, completing that journal entry right here. So we'll put a 4 right there. Question 5 changes things up a little bit. They say that we have a debit balance in the allowance for doubtful accounts. And if you recall from the lecture, an ending balance of credit in the allowance for doubtful accounts means we did not write off as much as we thought we were going to have to last year. We still have money that we could use. A debit balance in the allowance for doubtful accounts would indicate that we wrote off more last year than we had guessed we were going to have to. And so I just want to demonstrate the difference between the adjusting entry when you have a credit balance versus a debit balance. And this last one, we're going to do a percentage of sales method adjusting entry, which has nothing to do with this aging of receivables schedule. So this will be step 5. And this will be question number 6 that we're going to answer here. So let's go back and look at the instructions. And we're on number 5 right here. It says, same thing, allowance for doubtful accounts, except it has a debit balance of $1,800. So let's go populate that, a debit balance of $1,800. Now, we still want our ending balance, according to our aging schedule, to be $19,349. All right, so our goal is to get from this debit of $1,800 to this credit of $19,349. Not 348. And if we do that, again, same journal entries here on December 31st. I should say same accounts. And we're going to debit bad debt expense and credit allowance for doubtful accounts. And the question is how much, okay? Now, since we have a debit balance and we're trying to get to a credit, we need to add these two numbers to get our adjusting amount. So our adjusting amount is going to be equal to the ending balance we want plus the debit balance we have to overcome. And so our adjusting amount is going to be $21,149. And so we fill that in. Once we post that here, we're going to have a debit to bad debt expense for $21,149. And if we post the $21,149 here, we will end up with the credit balance that we desire of $19,349 right there. All right, hope that helps you. The last thing we're going to do here is item number 6. And it says, instead of using the aging of receivables method, which we did, we talked earlier about a percentage of sales method as an alternative for our adjusting entry. We talked about the fact that the percentage of sales method ignores an existing balance in the allowance for doubtful accounts account and just puts more money into the account. It's not as accurate as our aging of receivables method, but I wanted to demonstrate that one more time for you in a problem. So it says here to assume that we're going to use the percentage of sales method. Our net sales for the year were $1,857,000, and we historically do not collect 1% of our net sales that have been made onto an account. So if I just did a little calculation here, $1,875,000 is the amount of our sales, and 1%. I'm sorry, this is 1%. This is 1% of net sales, so 0.01. And so our uncollectible would be equal to $1,875,000 times 1%. Or $18,750, and that becomes the amount of our adjusting entry. So over here in our T accounts, we're going to do $18,750, and $18,750. We'll fill in the account balances here of, we'll fill in the account names, bad debt expense, and allowance for doubtful accounts. still on December 31st. Let's get everything filled in here. All right, so if we go back and read this, it said that this, in the instructions, that this account before had a credit balance of $2,700. So let's fill in that little bit of information, 2,700. And regardless of the balance in this account under the percentage of sales method, we've already calculated the amount of our adjusting entry. So the debit is for $18,750 to bad debt, and the credit is to $18,750 for allowance for doubtful accounts. Those two things added together give us a balance of $21,450 in our allowance for doubtful accounts. Now, if last year was any indication of history, we didn't write off as much as we thought we had guessed we were going to have to. We had $2,700 still in our account, and we just dumped more into that account of $18,750. We end up with a balance of $21,450. And if that trend continues, we're just going to continue to build this account above and beyond what it should be. And we may have to, in the future, if this continues to be the trend, adjust this estimate right here of 1% of the sales right here into a lower amount, like 3/4 of 1% or something like that, to get this account balance back in. But for you, that's not something to worry about. There's with the journal entries when we had the analysis of accounts receivable with a credit balance, the analysis of accounts receivable with a debit balance, and then the percentage of sales method, the adjusting entries. The amounts are the ones that change based on the process that we use there. I hope this was helpful to you, and that you were able to do your homework problem based on this guidance. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. I'll talk to you later.